Hello, everybody. This is Lynn, your doula for the Mamas for Mamas pre and postnatal series. Today is just going to be a presentation, and we are week 3 into diving in about all things pre and postnatal. So, anyone who has any questions afterwards, please don't hesitate to reach out on our Facebook group or just message me directly. I love hearing how I can best help you in this amazing journey, and hopefully that you'll get something out of it as well. So we'll jump right in. We're going to skip the first check-in because this is just a presentation, but every time we have these sessions, reflect on what came up for you from last week's session and talk about it with your family and friends, anyone that is supporting you on this journey. Last week, we talked about building your support team. So, those that are under your support network throughout your pregnancy, of course, and as we get into the birth experience. But today, we are talking about your postpartum journey, your recovery in the postpartum period. So, very similarly, we're going to build your postpartum team, as well as we'll cover some basic newborn care as well to ensure that both you and baby are recovering together. As a preview, next week we're going to talk about all things car seat safety. I am a certified child passenger safety technician, otherwise known as a car seat tech. So I love talking about all things baby safety and car seat safety for all our littles being safe on the road. As a reminder, even if you're recording, watching the recording here, please take care of yourself. If you want to take a pause and just get a nice cup of tea or something like that, please take care of yourself first. So jumping right into the postpartum recovery period, this is a sacred time for rest, restoration, and grace. And our experience in taking care of ourselves and being taken care of in the postpartum journey really sticks with us through our entire lives as our kiddos grow. So I do stress the importance of prioritizing your postpartum recovery, and what we're aiming for in the birth experience. If Mama feels heard, respected, and in control of their decisions in the process of labor and birth, it does translate and correlate into the postpartum recovery period as well. So building your postpartum support team, it could be your inner circle of support. So whether it be your partner, if you have one, family or trusted friends, but think about who do you feel most comfortable with being at your most vulnerable state. So we're talking, if you are wearing nothing but hospital underwear and a robe or something like that, that you're not afraid of it or not, embarrassed by it at all, and that you are just open. And even if you have clothes on or not, these are people that you don't feel, any embarrassment of being in that state. Or when you have to have a good cry or someone that you can lean on, think about those people that can support you. And also that you don't feel any guilt from asking or receiving support from. So you can find those people in your life that want to support you and that you don't feel any guilt at receiving their love and support. In terms of community support, what to expect from your postpartum visits or appointments, whether you have a midwife or OB. Generally, you'll see your midwife, if you're under midwife care, around the 3 or 4 days after birth. They may see you the day after you have the baby if you're at the hospital, but midwives also offer home visits every week up until 6-7 weeks. If you're under family doctor or OB care, you may have your first visit around the 4 to 6 week mark, which is very different. So depending on what kind of care you're under, you may have more frequent visits, or you may have a period of time settling at home, and then you have your first official postpartum visit with your primary care provider who supported you in pregnancy and caring for your baby afterwards as well. La Leche League, if you decide on wanting to feed your baby through lactation, so breast chest feeding, or if you are interested in bottle feeding with human milk, La Leche League International is a wonderful nonprofit organization that has chapters all over the city, different provinces, and different countries as well. And these are volunteers who are very passionate about lactation or the breast chest feeding journey. And while some of them may be training to become lactation consultants themselves, the intention of the support under La Leche League is just to share information and hold space for those that want to experience that experience of lactation. There are also postpartum doulas in the community. I didn't even know that postpartum doulas were a thing until I came across a postpartum doula training. There are low cost or volunteer doulas out in the community as well. And there are also midwiferys in the city that has a volunteer doula program if you are under their care as well. So feel free to let me know if you are interested in that, and I can help you find some resources if you are interested in working with a postpartum doula. After baby's here, one of my favorite memories that I had with my baby girl is community centers and playgroups at libraries. I love just getting out of the house, and we'll talk a little bit about some important things to think of in the postpartum recovery period. But just for me to get out of the house, cabin fever was a big thing for me. So just getting some fresh air and then meeting people and not be surrounded with just the daily tasks of baby life was really, really healthy for me. And so I encourage you to look at the community centers in your area and see if the libraries at your in your neighborhood have a baby and me reading storybook reading session, or any guests in the community that offer baby and me services at the library for free. I mentioned last week that the South Community Birthing Program out in Vancouver has a postpartum support drop-in series every week online or Zoom, and I believe that they're doing it in person as well. You do not have to be a patient under South Community's care, and you could just sign in if you're interested. They go through a bunch of different topics for baby care, for mama care, everything involving the postpartum recovery period, and they have guest speakers in the community share. So highly, highly encourage you check out the South Community Birthing Program if you're interested. This slide here we talked about last week, so I kept it for a reason. And in the postpartum recovery period, when you are selecting those that are supporting you through this journey, it's important to think about how they can also support. Because as a new parent, it is very difficult to know how to ask for help. I know that sounds very silly to not know how to ask for help, but in the newborn life, just to put words together is very difficult, and you are either getting choppy sleep, you may be forgetting basic things that were just an everyday thing for you, such as brushing your teeth, taking a shower, did I eat breakfast, did I eat anything in the past few hours? All of these things, it does add to the mental load for a new parent. So if you can find someone or people that you are inviting into your space after having your baby, this is how your support team can help. So we talked about emotional help. So someone to validate that you're a good mom, you're a good parent, and that everybody under the sun with good intention tells you what could help. But if someone can just validate you are doing exactly right, everything right, and you just need, a quick nap or something like that, receive that or have that offer presented to you. Or just being present in the house, right? If you are alone with the baby, it can feel very isolating. And so if someone can just sit with you, sometimes I do find that some of my doula families, the grandparents come in and very excited to meet their grandbaby, and they want to offer to hold the baby, but baby needs to be with their parent when they're very upset. And if it's just you holding the baby and someone can just sit with you and talk with you, that is a wonderful, beautiful way to receive help, and not necessarily needing to, have someone hold the baby. If that is something that you need, just a break, great. Have someone that you feel good and trust to have you have them hold the baby while you rest. Encouragement, reassurance, again, all the things that a new parent needs to know that they're doing the right thing and that taking care of themselves, whether to receive help or, having that me time is so important to the postpartum recovery period. Physical support can be, again, I mentioned in birth and labor. Massage is really wonderful. And so if you, especially if you are nursing or even bottle feeding, you can have a lot of strain in your neck and shoulder area. So if someone in your circle, the support network, is a good massage person, or perhaps you can ask your family member or partner can give you a little massage, that's wonderful. Aiding in movement. So the recovery period for whether it's a vaginal physiological birth or a cesarean birth, both look very different, but to assist in gentle movements or even if you, for example, end up having or choose to have a cesarean birth experience, slow movements, but movement is good to help with the scar tissue recovery. Reminding you to keep fueled. Hydration, food, good, yummy foods, warming foods is great as well. Warming foods being under the traditional Chinese medicine concept, although I'm not a herbologist or anything like that. In the Asian culture, when a woman gives birth, it is believed that they lose a lot of heat or blood, which blood loss is a common thing that happens in birth. And so bringing warmth back to the body can come from foods and warming teas, so ingredients that are very nourishing but warming to the body. So some ingredients could be red dates or longan, which is it looks like a lychee berry, but it's dried, and ginger is another power ingredient as well in the postpartum recovery period under traditional Chinese medicine. And not necessarily the temperature of the foods or teas. Teas are really lovely, but it's the properties of the food. So for example, cucumber is very cooling, or watermelon is very cooling. Although, I'm not one to be restrictive on anything that your body needs and it's calling for, lean into that. And then your comfort items nearby. So whether it be a favorite pillow or something, if you do have a appointment that you can't bring baby to and you are potentially separated from baby for an hour or two or however long it may be, bringing things that smell like baby. So whether it's a clean diaper or a hat or something that smells like them, your body is recovering and the hormones are kind of everywhere in postpartum. So something that you have that smells like baby and reminds you of baby will help calm the nerves down as well. Mental spiritual support. So again, with new parenthood, you are going through the task list of what baby needs and putting baby first, but oftentimes new parents forget about themselves. So having someone to remind you of all the things that you are caring for yourself, whether it's me time, a quick shower, or a long bath, whatever time you need to recharge, they can lower the mental load of not having to worry about you being constantly needed. There's wonderful community groups that I mentioned last week as well, and I'll share at the end of this presentation a few community resources that are available, and some people that also have relations in certain religious groups or have any community groups that can really help with affirmations of what is important to your family. You can be surrounded by that sort of wonderful support. Lastly, with informational support, last week we talked about the BRAIN acronym. So when anything comes up that you're unsure of, either you ask your primary care provider, whether it's your midwife or your family doctor or OB, ask about things. What are the benefits? What are the risks? What are the alternatives? What is my intuition, my developing intuition as a new parent saying, or do I need more information about what is presented? Or what happens if we do nothing, and asking your primary care about their thoughts on that. Also asking if they were a new parent, or if they're not, what steps would they take if this was their child, can often help make decisions on, especially things that come up with baby. Someone can also help source and gather and also inquire about things that you're unsure of, but look out for you for, things that may be of concern for you in the postpartum recovery period for you and baby. Next up, the essentials in my mind to aid in healing. We talked about rest, restoration, and grace. And with rest, especially after having a baby, our cortisol levels are through the roof. It's Cortisol is the stress hormone. There are a whole bunch of hormones at play after having the baby. Your body is realizing that we don't have a baby in our belly anymore, and the placenta is also birthed. And so being able to rest in between feeds or reacting to baby's cries, your body does need that recharge. And it can be, days on end that people get choppy sleep if they don't have adequate support. So if you do have a partner or if you have a family member or trusted friend who will be helping you in the early postpartum recovery period, talk about shift work. So who may be someone that can support in the morning shift for baby, or someone who's more of a night owl. Typically with newborns, they may be needing to eat every 2, 3 hours or 3, 4 hours, really depending on what their needs are based on what your medical team is recommending. But having good chunks of sleep is very important. So even discussing within your family prenatally on what are the minimum number of snoozes you need to function. For some people, it's maybe multiple power naps in the daytime and then you're good. Or some people, some of the families I've supported in the past, they need a minimum of 6, 8 hours. It could be possible with support, of course, taking shift with feeding schedules with baby. But talk about with if you do have a partner, what again number of snoozes each of you need to function properly, and decide from there. Restoration. This is a little activity I like to do with all my doula families, where sitting down with your partner or the person that is supporting you or people that are supporting you in the newborn season, talk about your top 3 non-negotiables. So these are simple things that maybe you are doing already every day, but again, in the newborn season and new parenthood, it is very easy to forget about very simple things like brushing your teeth every day, going to the shower or taking a shower, eating. And so thinking about every day, what do I do first thing in the morning that just sets me up for the day? For some people, maybe it's making a cup of coffee. Maybe it's going for a little walk around the block with the dog. Whatever it is, take a sticky note and write out your top 3 non-negotiables. These are just simple things that make you feel human every single day. And if you have a partner, this is really valuable to do together. So you can put the post-it on the front of the door or on a mirror in the washroom, any place that you cannot miss. You and your partner can check in with each other, or whoever is supporting you in that postpartum period, that you can check in on each other on what you need or what they need to feel human. And this is all teamwork when it comes to raising littles. So really, really great. Some examples could be my own husband. He runs marathons, and we talked prenatally that just every day he just needs to go out for a quick jog, whether it's a 5-minute jog around our neighborhood or maybe it's a 15-minute, whatever it is, he just needed to get out. And that was so good for his mental health. For myself, in the evening, I would love a uninterrupted shower. You may have heard about phantom crying from baby. If you're in the shower, baby's totally fine, but all of a sudden you hear crying. That's just hormones at work. So it was really lovely, and it was a luxury for me to be able to have that support, just to lock myself in the bathroom and have a nice hot shower uninterrupted, because I knew baby girl was cared for. Maybe that's something that you can consider, but take care of your own needs. It's very similar to the oxygen mask analogy that I like to tell my doula families. put on your own mask before supporting others in, an airplane. That's what we all say, right? So definitely put yourself first, and you can show up for your baby much better. Lastly, grace. This is grace. We don't have enough grace for parents in today's day and age or in society. It's oftentimes this, I don't subscribe to the bounce back culture where you just kind of need to pick up where you left off. No, your body has forever changed. Your mind has forever changed after having your baby. And with the newborn season, it is rough, especially first time parenting. You are learning on the job, your body is recovering, hormones are completely everywhere, and there's a new stage or a new stage in your relationship with your partner or family members who are also going through this with you with a new form identity. But it is important to know when to ask for help. And the newborn period doesn't have to be one that you have to suffer through. Very similar when I talked about the birth or labor experience, you don't have to suffer. And it does affect you in years to come if you feel, alone in this. So please know what your boundaries and where your threshold is of, this is too much. So, but at the same time, please give yourself grace to rest, restore your body, and, give yourself the time to to ease into this new phase in your life. And speaking of when to ask for help, very common symptoms that come up after having a baby are baby blues. And it is important to also name and acknowledge how prevalent postpartum depression and anxiety is for those that do not have the support or try to power through things. And speaking of baby blues, it is more common than we think. And it happens to 80% of new moms. Again, going back to hormones being everywhere, it's, pretty much every parent out there. You have a period of time where within the week of having baby, there's a hormone drop, and it could be just a sudden onset of crying or mood swings or just irritability that, it oftentimes comes up because we are having choppy sleep. And again, it just goes to show how important that rest and recharge time is. But with baby blues, it's relatively mild. It kind of resolves on its own, and maybe we just need a good nap and a snack, or just, again, the basic needs of the human body: rest, fuel, so food and water, and, feeling safe. Postpartum depression and anxiety, while it says 10 to 20% of new parents, even if that seems like a small number, it is a very common thing that happens to many families. And oftentimes it could happen right away for folks or within the first month, which is the biggest learning period for a new family. And I thought I'd also mention the terminology that I often hear, that postpartum is right away assumed to equate to postpartum depression and anxiety. When people say, oh, I think I had postpartum. Postpartum, the term is the period of time after having a baby, whatever that looks like. Right? It's a period of time, but it doesn't have to allude to postpartum depression and anxiety, which is a mental health situation. It can last for weeks, it can be months or longer if you don't seek help or treatment. And it can be from moderate to severe and needing intervention from a health team. And some common symptoms that can come up are persistent sadness. So every waking moment, there is this feeling of sadness, worry, fatigue, intrusive thoughts, all of the experiences that hinder your ability to feel joy and excitement in this new phase. Parenthood is difficult, but again, we do not have to suffer through this. It is very difficult for people to know the differences between baby blues and postpartum depression and anxiety, but if there's any point where you feel that you are in danger or in harm to yourself or others or your baby, please call for assistance right away and know that you don't have to go through this alone. We're going to talk a little bit about newborn care and prepping for birth. I'm sorry, prepping for baby and for yourself as well. Oftentimes, people get very excited of planning for the nursery space and everything that baby needs, but oftentimes they neglect what mama needs and the care for mama's recovery. So, some things I offer in terms of my visits for my families that I support as a doula, we go through the whole space at home. So, um, first off, baby safety. So, if you were to have a change table with a dresser, please ensure that everything that's 3 feet and above is anchored. So, if you have a handy person in your household or a family member, or getting support from a friend to anchor the furniture that baby will be around. It seems silly to think about anchoring things in the newborn period, but baby time goes 10x speed. So while they may be little potatoes in the beginning, I I I promise that 6 months will feel like a blink of an eye, and better to have everything prepared prenatally when you are in the mood of preparing and nesting and having everything safely anchored. Because it takes very little effort for a small child to tip a drawer and the whole thing comes collapsing. So please keep yeah, furniture anchored. For yourself, depending on your birth outcome, so whether you have a physiological birth or a C-section birth, having a nice caddy with all of the things in, whether it be your washroom or close by, right at your nightstand. You can also have two caddies. It's really, really great. So some basic things that you will get from the hospital are maternity pads. So actually, I should. But these are the same hospital maternity pads that they will give at the hospital. They are mega pads, very, very thick. And bleeding postpartum is very common and almost expected. Your body has birthed a baby, and the membranes will need to pass through the uterus if you are having a cesarean birth, or I'm sorry, a physiological birth. It also does happen if you went through labor, and even if you end up with a C-section, postpartum bleeding is expected. But we don't want to see anything bigger than a golf ball clot of blood. So please contact your care provider if you see any abnormal bleeding, because we want to ensure if there's any tears or ruptures that need to be addressed in the uterus, that you get treated right away. Other things, if you do decide to pump or nurse, you may get a sudden rush of hunger or, being really dehydrated. So having a good water bottle with a nice straw, same for the hospital, and a bunch of snacks, relatively healthy if you can get more high protein snacks, because if you do decide to nurse or bottle or pump, your body drains a lot of calories when you are lactating. So having some good snacks and everything that you need for your nursing experience or pumping sessions, whether it be nipple creams or reusable or disposable breast pads, because leaking is expected and common as well. And having anything that baby might need at arm's reach, so burp cloths. Vitamin D is a little supplement that they encourage babies to have. You can do a droplet, but again, under the guidance of your care professional. And any other comfort items that, if you're pumping and you just don't want to feel like a milking cow, having some headphones or just some music around, just again, everything in arm's reach would be really good because, again, you want to be very gentle with mobility. In terms of babies area, whether it be diapering, we'll talk about this in a little bit, but one of my favorite, very simple items for baby care is a puppy pad. These are offered at the dollar store. Just these are the literal training pads that puppies learn to pee on, and these are highly versatile for both your recovery and for baby's diapering needs. They will also give this at the hospital if you decide on a hospital birth. And my tip for any support people that are joining you on your birth experience at the hospital, just take everything that they give you in your hospital room, in your labor room, I mean, and it includes these mega maternity pads, these puppy pads. You'll also get a peri bottle, which is essentially like a little squirt bottle, and you could put some warm water and essentially help with the first bowel movement, or when you go pee, it could be stingy if you have a vaginal birth or if you happen to have any tears, that you can use the peri bottle, which you can again put warm water just to relax the muscles in the perineum. You will also receive a pair of hospital underwear, which is the uh, not the most fashionable, but the most comfortable things you will ever own in the postpartum period. Kind of looks like this. They are briefs and they are super stretchy, and you can wear them. I wore mine until they were, ripping apart. You can wash them in the gentle cycle or hand wash and just hang to dry if you like. But these are very, very stretchy and gentle on your belly, which you will still look a little pregnant after having a baby, and there is swelling in the belly area, and the uterus is slowly recovering as well. So do not fret that, if you look really swollen and uncomfortable, we just don't want to have anything cut into the area. So hospital underwear is going to be your best friend. So take everything that they give you at the hospital and ask for more. What to expect at the hospital if you do have a hospital birth. They will have newborn checks shortly after 24 hours. Well, actually, I'm sorry, depending on if you are deciding to have baby feed at the breast or chest, they like to monitor baby's vitals, so their blood sugar levels, how they're breathing properly, and temperature as well. So if you decide that you would like to breast chest feed, they are hoping to have baby feed within a couple hours after birth. Of course, a newborn's tummy is the size of a marble on day one, and so very, very small. And eventually, as the week passes, it grows to the size of a cherry, to eventually the size of a golf ball. And then within month 3 to 4, within the month of birth, their tummy is the size of an egg. So every single day baby is developing, but we want to ensure that baby is having the appropriate number of output with diapers. So the nurses will share this information with you as well. But for every day of life, we are hoping for at least one diaper output, whether it's a pee or poop. So for example, day one, or the day that they're born, we're aiming for one pee diaper. They might poop, they might not. That's okay. But the number of pee diapers is important to know that they are well hydrated. So day 2, we're aiming for 2 diapers. Day 3, 3 diapers. Again, whether they poop, some may not, but the pee diapers are important to ensure that they're well hydrated. All the way up until day 7, 8, you're expecting about 8 to 10 diaper changes. So lots of output, and we want to ensure that they're well hydrated. It is common that for many babies, jaundice is a common thing that happens with babies. Jaundice is when their bilirubin levels in their liver have more protein and they may have yellowing skin, or they also may have some yellowing in their the white part of their eyeball. And how to release the jaundice or to lower the bilirubin levels, it needs to be through their meconium, which is baby's first poop. Um, the meconium is a very black, sticky tar, and it's very, very thick. But typically after the first week is when, and the more that they're taking in, they have more output of poop. And so some babies that have higher levels of bilirubin levels, they may need to go through phototherapy, which essentially is a baby sun tanning bed at the hospital. But of course, they're monitoring that during the time that you are at the hospital. And again, the more that if you do decide to breast chest feed, having baby latch as often as possible, or if you decide to pump, that baby is taking in the human milk, or if you decide on formula, whatever it may be, we want to ensure that they're well hydrated and that their blood sugars aren't too low. That is concerning the medical team. Other common situations that can come up is that for baby girls, a baby period is possible. It is a release of hormones from mom to baby, and it is alarming to see blood from in your baby's pee, but a little bit is very common for baby girls. So the nurses may give you a heads up if you're having a baby girl. For baby boys, it is common to see uric acid in their urine, so a very concentrated pee in their diaper. And for some baby boys, it can be very painful because there's crystallization in their penis that they're trying to pass. So very, very concentrated pee, but it will pass. There may be a sudden, discomfort that your baby boy might be experiencing, but just keep an eye on those diapers. Oftentimes at the hospital, the nurses or the care team is looking at baby's weight gain as well. And it is common that within the first week, babies lose about 10% of their body weight. Now, depending on how, when they were born gestationally, your care team may advise on a feeding plan or just following anything that baby needs to go back to birth weight within the first 2 weeks. It is common, but it is very alarming for a lot of parents. And baby is trying to learn how to live outside of the womb, when they are given food whenever they like 24/7 through the umbilical cord. And so it is a very different life outside the womb. And so whether you are on a feeding plan under the guidance of your medical team, but expect that baby in the beginning will probably feed around every 2-3 hours. Some babes, they like big meals, and then it's every 3-4 hours, but every baby is different. And so do plan accordingly with your partner or your extended support team so you can get that adequate rest. What to expect from your postpartum visits from if you're under midwives or an OB. They are going through the similar checks, so the vitals, which is the temperature, they will likely not do the blood sugar checks because that is primarily at the hospital, but they will visually check if there is jaundice present or any other concerns that you have. They can address them, whether it's at the home for home visits or at the OB. They're checking for babies' weight gain as well to aim to get back to birth weight, and how we can set everybody up for success in the newborn period. They will also check for your recovery, for mama's recovery, on whether you had a vaginal birth and if you had experienced a tear, checking that the incision or the stitching was okay if you did require stitches. Perineal stitching, they melt into the body, so it is not required to go in to remove the stitches, but we want to ensure that there's no opening of incisions. Very similar to a cesarean birth as well. The recovery period is different, but around 4 to 6 weeks is when we hope that the main incision of the C-section is healed and that you can work up to your regular physical activity, whether you wanted to, if you enjoy going for a walk. Again, light movement is great in the early weeks, but whatever activities that you aim to do around the 4 to 6 week mark is typically the expectant time that the main incision for a C-section is good to go. Now, with baby, going back to feeding, diapering, hygiene, and sleep for a new baby, again, this is very dependent on what is important to your family. So, going back to feeding, how would you like your baby to be fed? Would you like to breast chest feed? Would you like to pump and bottle feed? Or would you like a hybrid? Or would you like to stick with formula? And knowing that you have options on how to feed baby. Now, if you decide to, a big question I have from families is sterilization of, if you decide to pump, what is that process like? Now, we have very clean water here in BC, and so hot soapy water does the trick. And unless a baby is in NICU, the new intensive care, sterilization isn't actually necessary. And yeah, you can just use hot soapy water and air dry, and everything's good to go in terms of whether it's bottles or if you have pump parts. Of course, with the pumping parts, you want to read your manual and follow the directions of the manufacturers because it is a product that you want to maintain. But in terms of baby feeding bottles, and all the baby stuff, it doesn't have to be as sterile as you may think, unless your baby was in the NICU, different. In the NICU, they are treating sick or vulnerable babies that may have been born prematurely. So even the preparation of human milk, if they require donor milk, needs to be highly moderated in that sense. In terms of diapering, some families, they would like to explore cloth diapering or disposable diapers. There are services out there for diapering. If you would like to use cloth diapers, there are wonderful resources out in the community. Or if you have a friend or family member that had cloth diapers that they didn't really end up using, that's a great way to explore that as well. But for diapers, you will also get diapers at the hospital. So take the entire pack of diapers that they give you in your hospital room. I don't have a newborn diaper because it's been a few years since I had a newborn. And so this is a swimming diaper. But for every diaper, there is a line in the middle of the diaper, and it typically is a yellow line. Now, when it's pee, it will turn blue. And with poops, with newborns, with meconium, it's very, very sticky. So having some slips, such as Vaseline, they actually have a little, it looks like a ketchup packet of Vaseline. You can ask for that and just put it on baby's bum, and wiping the meconium will make it a little bit easier. And for sizing, because babies grow so quickly, you can start off with a small pack of newborn diapers and see how quickly you go through those. But I always like to recommend sizing or having a stash of the next size up, so you don't have a whole bunch of newborn diapers. Of course, if you have a smaller baby, you'll need more newborn diapers. But if you end up having, a 8-10 pound baby, you're gonna go into that size 1 era very quickly. And the sizing of the diapers, each brand has their own different sizing metrics, but and it's not based on the month or whatnot. That's why I initially thought I knew nothing about diapering prenatally, but you have your newborn. There's also preemie size diapers as well, but size 1, size 2, it just based on what your baby's needs are. If you find that you get a lot of blowout diapers, so poop riding right up to their back or spilling on the side, that's a good sign that you probably want to size up. I'm going to tilt my monitor as best as I can to show diapering a baby. And if you have not diapered a baby or a real baby, and if you have a friend who will help teach you prenatally, I always recommend even just learning or having a stuffed animal or something to get in the mindset of diapering a baby. So here I have my toy baby. I have my puppy pad out. I really like puppy pads because I can not only protect wherever there might be spillage, or if we have baby boys, you might get peed on. It's kind of a badge of honor if you get peed on by your diaper, or poop explosions, whatnot. So puppy pads are the best investment. You can never have enough of those. So with a fresh new diaper, I like to have everything you need in arm's reach. So whether this is on a change pad, if you have a change pad that has a buckle, a safety buckle, I do recommend using whatever safety buckle comes with your change pad, or always having, if it's an elevated space that you are changing baby, always have a hand on baby, because the minute you need something, and we don't want your back to turn to baby and then them rolling off of the surface that you're changing them on. If you forget something, either call a friend and get help, or pick baby up, and then, even if they have a dirty diaper, just pick up baby, have them close, get whatever you need. That way baby is never left alone on a elevated surface. Totally okay to clean to diaper your baby on the floor. Have a puppy pad, that way you can save your rugs. Now with your fresh new diaper, I recommend not pulling baby's legs and having them do this chin tuck. It's not great for their spine. So having a diaper lifting their feet, or you can go sideways and moving the diaper underneath, fanning everything out. And if the diaper is quite big, you can fold it in, and there are little Velcro straps on the side. And some diapers have a little line that you can follow. There's also on the back, it actually says back on most diapers. And there you have your diapered baby. Now, if this is a dirty diaper, we check to make sure if there's poop. We got our wet wipes ready to go. And with hold on, I'll take bring my baby with me because I forgot another clean diaper. This might be a better representation of a diaper. So this is the yellow line that I was talking about. This will turn yellow, or sorry, this will turn blue if it's pee. But we have a fresh new diaper. Again, you'll develop your own preference on how you like to diaper your baby, but I like to have a new fresh diaper underneath the old one. This is especially great if you have a baby, if you're going to have a baby boy, that you can quickly have the new diaper ready to go and avoid getting sprayed. So fresh new diaper at the bottom. Remove the old diaper. I also like to use the old diaper as a secondary wipe. So if it was a poop, can wipe baby's bum and fold in the old diaper, roll it up, and you have the fresh new diaper ready to go. If you see diaper rash, which is a little bit of redness right on the bum, you can be generous with the diaper rash cream and just slap it on, or Vaseline. Have the new diaper ready to go, and then you have your fresh diapered baby. So that is basics in newborn diapering. Again, you will have lots of practice at the hospital, and when you're home, you already know what to do. In terms of hygiene, your baby's first bath, it is totally okay to delay the first bath because newborn skin is very sensitive to even, warm water and suds. So I would recommend to wait until the umbilical cord falls off, which typically is around the 3 to 4 week mark. You can do a sponge bath. They don't actually do sponge baths or first baths at the hospital anymore since COVID, but a great option is just to take a burp cloth and just wipe down anywhere where they have skin folds, because if they are, um, uh, actually it happens with formula as well, but if they get little dribbles of human milk or formula in their little folds, it can start smelling a little cheesy. So you can definitely wipe down your baby. And if you have big poop blowouts, taking a warm washcloth and just wiping their bum afterwards can avoid diaper rash as well. And diaper rash happens when there's prolonged moisture collecting and that the fabric is rubbing it against their bum. So keeping baby nice and comfortable will be very helpful in preventing or treating diaper rash. I skipped here. And I also talked about, yeah, just hygiene in terms of keeping everything, keeping up with diapers. We don't want too long of, baby sitting in a soiled diaper because, not only is it uncomfortable, but we do want to monitor the number of diapers that they have, particularly in the early weeks, if they have, high levels of jaundice, or if we're not getting the adequate number of diapers, we want to ensure that they're well hydrated. And if they're struggling to get a diaper after, say, 5-6 hours, then definitely call your care provider for some guidance on that. Safe sleep. Safe sleep is a term from the La Leche League has Safe Sleep 7. These are essentially recommendations on how we can keep our babies safe when they are sleeping. So there is a great diagram out there that I will share, but keeping baby on their back is safe sleep in terms of new evidence. Back in the 80s or 90s or earlier, oftentimes people had babies sleeping on their bellies. Yes, some babies do like a little bit of pressure on their belly, but we found through new research and evidence that we don't want to increase suffocation risks for babies. So having a flat surface, less is more when it comes to baby safety. So if you decide on having a crib or a bassinet, in the first little while, baby will be rooming in with you just so you can respond to baby's needs. But eventually, if they are in your own room, also, the reason why that they're rooming in with you is that you don't have to, go into a different room in and out, but what's best for your family in terms of arrangements. But a flat surface, take away any cushioning, again, bare bones in terms of a sleep space, so no blankets. You can have baby in a layer depending on the season in which you're having baby, or if you can increase the heat if you have a drafty room. If it's a comfortable temperature for you, it's a comfortable temperature for baby. And a good way to know of temperature for baby is under the armpit or around the chest area. You can feel for that temperature for baby. And if you are nursing as well, ensure that you are in a state of being able to support baby, that we don't want, a parent falling asleep and potentially, dropping baby or baby slipping from the arms if you are in an elevated space. So ensure that you or a support person is alert, and or if baby is sleeping in a bassinet or a flat surface, such as a crib, ensure that there's no cushioning, pillows, even stuffed animals, anything that baby that can roll onto baby. Keep it bare bones, a sheet crib, a crib sheet, and and ensure that baby is in a safe container to sleep in. Now, the last place I have for resources that I highly recommend having in your Rolodex is 811. 811 is a wonderful resource, 24/7 support that you can call, and it is a nurse hotline. So once you get discharged from the hospital and you're home, the first week is a big learning curve, and if there's any signs of concerns, or even well after the first week, anyone can call 811 for support, either for yourself as a new parent or for newborn support. And if there are any concerns, they would recommend going into hospital. But I always tell families, use 811. Do not ever worry about the threshold of severity. They are a wonderful, wonderful resource. Mamas for Mamas. This community has a wonderful series of support for mamas and new parents, and for helping bring experts in the field, or having someone to talk to. So utilize the Mamas for Mamas program and seek support where you can. I also mentioned South Community Birthing Program. They do have a weekly postpartum drop-in. They may have it in person now, but before it was available at Zoom, and you do not have to be a patient of South's to attend these wonderful drop-ins. A few other resources I wanted to share is Caring for Kids. Caring for Kids is run by pediatricians across Canada, and it is evidence-based. So anything around pregnancy, baby, newborn care, or up until baby it goes into the toddler years and teens age as well. They're a wonderful resource to look at the latest evidence-based information that you can read more about. Actually, we'll stop sharing my screen and show you a little preview of Caring for Kids. And Caring for Kids, they have everything from pregnancy and babies, injury prevention, health, mental health, anything under the sun around kids. We have that under Caring for Kids. So that's caringforkids.cps.ca. Next resource I wanted to share in the postpartum recovery period, that is a wonderful resource in the community, is the Pacific Postpartum Support Society. This is a wonderful nonprofit organization that supports for support groups. You can have sessions with a counselor under Pacific Postpartum Society as well, and meetups with the group. So another great resource that you can call in if you ever need support in the postpartum period. And lastly, as a doula, I'll share this in our Facebook group as well, but I have free resources on everything around newborn beginnings, breastfeeding or latching technique, C-section recovery, and vaginal physiological birth recovery as well. So please feel free to utilize these resources and ask all the questions prenatally, so when we are in the early postpartum days, that you don't feel like you have to do this all by yourself, and that there is help for everybody. So thank you so much for listening in on my presentation here. If you have any questions, as always, please feel free to reach out directly on our Facebook group or post them in the chats. And next week, we will cover all things car seat safety. And if you have any specific questions about your car seat, you can reach out to a car seat technician in your neighborhood, or I can bridge that connection as well. So thank you so much, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.